Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another video from Philosophy of Truth. Tonight, we'll be discussing the nature of truth, being conscious, divine, rational, light, life, energy, knowledge, and the source of all things. Truth is conceptual reality. What does this mean? In this presentation, we will uncover the nature of truth in an orderly fashion by showing that true victory and mastery come through aligning ourselves with it, and this is because it is the creator of all things and thus master over creation. This presentation will also help us to understand why truth is the reality from which all things exist and find their being. We will also show the relationship between truth, falsehood, reality, and fantasy. So it's a lot to take in, but I guarantee if you are diligent and you take your time to meditate on everything that I'm sharing with you, you will comprehend what I'm saying. Truth is rational. In order for language to be understood, it must be logically coherent. And this is gained through logic, and logic comes from truth, which is non-contradictory, which makes it firm and faithful and sure. In this light, truth being rational means that it is not merely a concept, but a conscious being with a mind, and this points to its will, and will points to the ability to choose. And so we see that truth is a conscious being. Here we have the hierarchy of truth and the hierarchy of mind. So on the left, as you could see, what I mentioned in our introduction, from truth ultimately comes victory, and it's in a very orderly fashion. So from truth comes law, from law comes order, from order discipline, and from discipline victory. And so when we go back up the chain from victory, it goes in the reverse order, right? And when we look at the hierarchy of mind, we get to see the way in which choices are made. So things begin in the realm of the mind, and then thoughts are formed, and then those thoughts are taken, and reason orders them in a logically coherent manner. And through the will, we exercise our power to take action, and our action results in whatever choice we decide to make. Now, what does it mean that truth is the divine logos and ultimate reality? Seeing that truth is eternal, it follows that it is also not just a word, but the word itself, meaning to speak, call, or summon. From this, we see that it is rational, for in order to speak, it must be logical, and we know this to be true, for it does not contradict itself. This is saying, like I mentioned in the beginning, in order for language to be comprehensible, it must be rational. It must be coherent. You have to be able to understand it, make sense of it. And this logic comes from truth itself. Seeing that it is the Word, we also see that it is divine, life, and light. For without these, nothing would exist or have meaning. So, as you guys can see here in the diagram on the right side, we see that logos is where we get our word logic from, and it's also translated to word itself. Therefore, the word is truth, and truth is the word. And as we could see on the other side, to the far right, we see that truth being divine, from it comes its word of life and light. For life and light are also words, but these also make up the divine nature of truth itself. And from the word, all other words are brought into existence by the Logos and given meaning. Okay, so in other words, it's through the word of truth or the Logos that all words are defined and given meaning, and their function and purpose are given. And all sensory perception and things like that also come from the virtue or power of the word. Now, their image and form are accomplished by the light itself. And this light is from the word and of the immaterial kind, which we'll go over more closely in another presentation. But for now, it is enough to understand that light comes from truth and the truth itself is light. And we see that the truth is also life, and therefore, this explains that all life found in living forms and beings come from the truth itself, who is the source of life and life itself. Now here in this little flow chart, I have concept on the far left, truth in the middle, and reality on the far right. Now, as you can see on the top row, I equate concept with truth and reality. Now notice I use concept and reality in the singular, okay, as well as truth in the singular. For all concepts come from the concept itself, just as all truths come from the truth and all realities come from reality, okay? Therefore, truth is not just a word or a concept, but it forms the conceptual reality I mentioned earlier. How does it do this? Well, there are two different routes where truth branches off. To the left, under concept, we have vision, and to the right, under reality, we have fantasy. Yet both vision and fantasy give rise to the image. So, as I said in the previous slide, truth is also light, and that is what allows it to envision the image. And fantasy is a real concept. Now, just to touch on that a little bit, okay? So, fantasy is not false, all right, guys? So, fantasy simply allows us to imagine real concepts which exist within reality, okay? It just happens that these things have not yet come to pass. So if you kind of picture in your mind for a moment, imagine you're on a basketball team or whatnot, or maybe you're a race car driver or whatever, you're playing some kind of sport. And you're imagining or fantasizing about how great it would be to become a world champion or win the world championship series or title, whatever it is, right? So that thing hasn't come to pass, but yet you are still imagining real concepts. You're still able to fantasize about real concepts and real things. It's just that those things haven't happened yet. Okay? So there's like two senses of reality. So reality deals with things which actually exist, okay? And they also deal with things that are far off, which have yet to manifest themselves, okay, through our own experience. So here we get a little bit better idea. Truth is the concept of concepts and is real. Therefore, all concepts are real. Therefore, all concepts exist. Fantasy is real but not false. Fantasy allows us to imagine concepts which exist in reality, which is truth. From this, we learn that falsehood is the only false concept. Matter, on the other hand, is the only material concept. And time is temporal along with all subject to it. Okay, so you'll probably have to pause the video or just rewatch this a couple times to let this all sink in. But when you really take time to let what I'm saying here simmer, it will make perfect sense, okay? Because again, fantasy is a real concept. It's not false. Why is that? Because it doesn't contradict its own nature, okay? Falsehood is the only false concept because it claims to be something which it is not. That's what makes it false in the first place, okay? So this helps simplify things. That's also why matter is the only material concept. From this, we learn that all other concepts are immaterial, or more specifically, non-material, okay? So we learn that 100% of all concepts are real and exist in reality, including fantasy. For fantasy is merely a way for us to envision things which have not yet come to pass, like victory and defeat. But we are only able to think about real concepts. Therefore, this leaves falsehood as the only 1% out of the rest of the 99% of the concepts, which is real, but it's the only one which is false because it contradicts itself by pretending and claiming to be what it is not. Okay? So we've talked about divine, what is meant by it. Well, for those of you who are already looking at the picture and the caption, okay, divine is God, okay? God is the divine light of truth. So when we break the word divine down and trace its origin, we see that it comes from the Latin divinus, which translates to that which pertains to God. And it is from deus, God, from the Proto-Indo-European root word deu, which means to shine. And it's found in derivatives of sky, heaven, and God, okay? Because by derivative, it means like it shares the same stream, okay? Or same ideas of sky, heaven, and God, because when we're talking about something shining, we're referring to the light. And so when we look at these four other words which share the same root as divine, we see that they are Dios, Deus, Zeus, and De. Okay, so the first three words literally translate to God. And the word De translates to shine. Okay, therefore we see that truth is God and God is light. Okay, so the whole idea then of the word divine is that which pertains to God who is in the sky or in heaven and who shines like the light, for God is light. Okay? So, in conclusion, we have learned that truth is divine and is God who forms the conceptual reality of existence. Here's Another ancient proverb I want to share with you guys. The divine exists within the void. Out of the void came all things. Ponder that a little bit. So what's the big takeaway? The truth is reality and exists. The truth is divine and is God. God is real and exists. Thank you guys again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me below. And otherwise, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more, guys. Good night.